Welcome, everybody. It's wonderful for everybody to be joining us here from Lion Country Safari in West Palm Beach, Florida. We have a very special virtual program in store for everyone today, and we're going to show you some clips of that. But before we get started, I wanted to introduce some of our very special guests. So would you like to start off and introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Brian, the Wildlife Director here at Lion Country Safari.
Hi everyone, my name is Chelsea. I'm our program specialist.
And we also have another very special guest joining us today. You'll be able to recognize her on the videos here. And Marissa, you want to go ahead and introduce? What do you do here at Lion Country Safari?
Hi everyone, my name is Marissa and I'm the groups coordinator here at Lion Country Safari.
Oh, fantastic. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to have you start to watch the video here. But while everyone is joining and watching the video, if you all can start thinking of some amazing questions that you might want to ask about our zebras here, and we're going to have our experts at Lion Country Safari answer some of those questions for you. So let's go ahead and roll the first video.
All right, who's ready for a safari adventure? I'm looking for Marissa.
Oh, hi, that's me. Hi.
That works better if you turn it up. Turn up. There, perfect,
Oh, okay,
perfect.
awesome.
So my name's Chelsea. I'm going to be your tour guide. Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm super excited.
Awesome.
What animals are we going to be seeing today?
So you're going to be seeing some zebras.
What's a zebra?
You don't know what a zebra is?
No?
Okay.
Zebras are mammals. They are covered in hair. Zebras are warm-blooded or endothermic. This means that their body temperature does not change with the environment. They also have 3 inner ear bones. Female zebras will give birth to 1 baby and produce milk to feed it.
All right, so you ready? You got everything?
Yeah. Hat check, camera check, bag check, map check. Yeah.
Mask.
Oh.
You need your mask. Get your mask on.
Mask check.
All right, let's go. Come on.
Why is it so dark? Oh, much better. So, where do zebras live in Florida wetlands?
No. Actually, zebras are native to Africa. They live in the grasslands habitat found there.
Oh, so if they live in the grasslands, does that mean they eat kale?
Well, they are herbivores, but no.
Oh.
Zebras are herbivores, or primary consumers. This means that they consume only plant matter. Though zebras may browse on low-hanging branches from time to time, they spend most of their day grazing on grass. Zebras are called pioneer grazers. This is because they are not picky about what part of the grass that they eat, and will help clear the way for more specialized grazers like wildebeest. Their front teeth are designed to pull up the grass, and their back teeth are flat, perfect for grinding and chewing it.
So you getting some good shots over there?
Well, so I actually downloaded this nifty app that scans the barcodes on them, so I can see which one is which, because that's how you guys tell them apart, right? This app that I downloaded.
Barcodes? What? No.
Yeah, barcodes.
No,
See?
that's not how this works. No. You know what? Look, there's Brian. Brian's our expert on our zebras here. He can tell you all about our dazzle of zebras, and dazzle is the group of zebras. So you know what? Let's go talk to Brian.
They dazzle?
Oh gee, let's go talk to Brian.
All right, everyone. I just want to make sure everyone can hear us a little bit better. So, Mr. Brian, I would like to ask you, since we're doing social distancing, how many feet are we social distancing right now?
We're about 1 zebra length apart.
1 zebra length apart.
1 zebra length apart.
So there you go. So that's a great thing to keep in mind now when you're social distancing. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Miss Chelsea, I actually have the very first question for you that just came in. And we know that this is called the Dazzling zebra. Why is it called that?
Well, a group of zebras, they do have a lot of different names. I'm sure you heard of zebra, but
It's actually called a dazzle of zebra. It's also a zeal of zebra. And that's just some fun terminology that you can use now to call a group a zebra. Dazzle. Yay! Right?
I love that term. All right, so let's go ahead and ask Mr. Brian here a couple questions. So, Mr. Brian, how many zebra do we have here at Lion Country Safari?
We have 60 zebras here.
60 zebra.
60, which is one of the largest herds under human care in the world.
Now, are all of these zebras, do they all hang out in the same family group?
Actually, they kind of break themselves up into a little bit. They are one herd or one dazzle, but they do break themselves up into smaller groups, smaller family groups within that larger dazzle. And those are called harems. So you might see like a dominant stallion, he'll kind of separate off his family group a little bit. And so it's kind of more of a looser herd sometimes.
So, Mr. Brian, how long have you been working with the zebras here at Lion Country Safari?
24 years.
24 years.
Yep. I have seen zebras, I've seen them born and see them grow all the way to maturity.
Now, if we were talking about the zebras and some of their adaptations, would you be able to tell us a little bit about some of the zebras' adaptations?
They're very social. There's kind of safety in numbers. So that's a very big thing to them, is to have those herds where kind of that's more sets of eyes looking out for predators like lions that might prey upon them. So I think the safety in numbers, also potentially the stripes. Sometimes people think that the stripes might be there to help break up their outline, to make it harder for lions to be able to pick one out in the group.
So I just want to mention, I understand that it might be a little difficult to hear right now. So I just want to make sure that everyone can hear us. And speaking of being heard, our zebra is a noisy animal.
They are very vocal animals. That is how they do a lot of their communication. Now, some of their communication is just body posturing, how they position their ears, but a lot of it is vocalization. So zebras do make a lot of noise. They bray and they snort, and they make a lot of noise, and that's how they communicate with each other.
Thank you, Mr. Brian. So I do have a couple questions that are coming through from Miss Chelsea. So, Miss Chelsea, for some of the zebras, I would like to ask you, are they related to horses?
They are related. They're kind of like a wild cousin of the horse. So they're in the same family. It's called Parasadactyl. That means that they have an odd number of toes. So horses and zebra have one toes. Horses are domesticated. Zebras are not. Do not recommend even trying to go near a wild zebra. They are not domesticated, but they are related.
Zebras are mean.
Are they?
Zebras are actually very mean. Yes. Yep.
So with the zebras, though, because a lot of times you see a lot of people that think that they can ride zebras, and
it's the one species of equid that has never been domesticated. They really, I mean, I know we've all seen the movie Stripes where they ride the zebra, but I got to say, I don't know of any other situation where that was done, because zebras, they are mean. They also have a very elevated flight response, so they spook or startle very easily. And the reason they do that is because in the wild, they're being hunted by lions, so they have to be prepared to run away.
So I have a great question, Mr. Brian,
Okay.
And it's going to be your classic question regarding zebras. Are zebras black with white stripes or white with black stripes?
Okay, I get this question a lot. I would have to say that they're black. The stripes on them is just hair. So it's white hair, it's black hair, but underneath that is a very dark colored skin that's almost black. And in fact, the stripes, they're really not even black. They're more of a dark brown color. But if you were to look in places like on the insides of their legs, you would see where their skin, and there is no hair, and the skin is black in color.
Thank you so
So
much.
the stripes are they're just hair.
So talking a little bit about the stripes, Miss Chelsea, why do zebras have stripes? Is there a special purpose for their stripes?
That's actually a great question, and it's something that even scientists today are still looking into. Scientists still don't really know the answer to that question. They have a lot of different theories. Like Mr. Brian was saying before, some scientists believe that it's to break up the individual zebra and make it hard for a predator to pick out one zebra when they're hunting. Another theory is for temperature control.
That black and white can kind of make it a little bit more cooler for the zebra. Another theory is it makes it hard for those biting flies to land on the zebra and bite them. And then that transfers diseases when the fly bites them, so it helps the zebra not get those diseases when the insect lands on them. So there's a few theories behind it. No one really knows for sure yet, but that's a great question. Maybe one day you guys will be the ones that figure it out. So
That is very, I love that. And that's very accurate here.
I guess it's possible that it could be all of those answers,
Right,
more
yeah.
than just one.
All right, so what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna go ahead and do the next video because I actually love the second half of this video and I have a ton of questions and I know everyone watching is as well. So let's go ahead and let's cut to the very next video.
All right, so Brian, this is Marissa. She's one of our tour guides. You're just getting extra special treatment today. We don't usually do this, but she has some questions about zebras. First off, how we identify them. So
I
you
don't
wanna
keep
go ahead
answering
and
that.
take this?
Hi, Marissa.
Hi. You're gonna have
So
to get-
zebras, how we identify them? We actually use their stripes. Their stripes are like a fingerprint.
It's because of everything going
Many years ago, Lion Country Safari was actually a pioneer in using this method to identify zebras. We have about 60 zebras under our care here at Lion Country Safari. It's an extremely large herd, and so telling them apart can actually be very difficult. So we use their stripe patterns. We use the right side of their head and neck to identify them. And then once you get used to looking at the stripes, you actually get very good at being able to pick them out and tell who's who. And we use a photo ID logbook. So the keepers, if they have to identify a specific zebra, they just bring out the logbook, they look at the zebra, you know, whatever, if it's one that might have any kind of health concern or dietary needs, they could just flip through the book till they find the exact one in there, and each one of the zebras is identified with a identification number. And they also have microchips implanted in them for identification. So we have multiple ways to tell them apart.
Awesome, that's so cool. So why do they have all of these stripes?
Actually, we don't really know. There are many theories. Some theories are that it helps to repel biting flies. Some theories are that help them to kind of break up their outline, maybe when they're being chased by lions. That's another one. And then some think it's just like a form of sunscreen to help them protect them from the sun.
Oh, awesome.
I like that. You don't have to be the fastest one. You just have to be faster than your friend, right?
That's right.
So, ready for my riding lesson?
Well, actually, zebras are very mean. Zebras are not like your typical domesticated horse. This is the one species of equids that's never been domesticated, and there is a reason why. So zebras are actually very aggressive. There's a lot of politics that go on amongst the group, a lot of conflict. Just, it's just what zebras do. That's normal, natural behavior.
Brian, what are these?
These are southern white rhinoceroses.
So fun fact, these guys are actually related to zebras. They're in the same family called perissodactyls, which means odd-toed ungulate. That means that they have an odd number of toes. So zebras have one, these guys have 3. So they're all kind of in the same family, just distant cousins.
So you seem really passionate about your job. What kind of schooling did you have to go through?
I have a bachelor's degree in biology, and I loved animals as a kid, but I don't think I never thought that I would be doing this job. And then an opportunity came up, and after my first day working here, I knew this is where I belonged, and I've been here ever since.
Awesome. So I see you guys have a lot of zebras here at Lion Country Safari. Are there a lot of zebras in the wild as well?
Well, actually, some of the zebra populations are declining, and we participate in some conservation programs where some of our staff, some of our zebra keepers will go out into the wild in Africa and help do zebra counts so that we can actually determine an accurate number of how many zebras really are left in the wild. Here at Lion Country Safari, we have 60 zebras. It is one of the largest herds of zebras under human care.
Pretty cool. So you know what? I think we need to let Brian get back to work. We're taking up enough of his time. So come on, Marissa, let's
Somebody's
go.
gotta feed the rhinos.
Yeah, I know. Look at how hungry they are. Let's go. Come on, let's go.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Thank you again for watching the second clip here. It looks like we have a lot of questions that are coming through live right now. So let's go ahead and get to answering them. Miss Chelsea, Mr. Brian, are you up for the challenge?
Let's do it. Let's
All
go.
right, let's do it.
We'll see if we really are experts.
So one of the questions that came in is, why do zebras wag their tails so much?
Oh, you want to do this one? Or you want me?
Sure. So they have hairs on the end of the tail. That's perfect for getting away all those insects. Don't want them bothering them. So that's a good way to swat them away and say, don't bother me. Go away.
Nice one.
Right?
All right.
Perfect.
What's the next question?
Check on that one.
Well, I think we should go into a little bit of adaptation. So some of the questions that are coming through are asking, how is their eyesight and do they run fast? So maybe we can talk a little bit about adaptations again regarding that.
Okay, well, I'll address the first one, do they run fast? They are actually very fast runners. Zebras are more considered a sprinter. So like if they're pursued by lions, by predators, they're able to run very fast for a shorter distance. So like your domesticated horses, they're designed to run fast for longer distances, whereas a zebra, he's much more of a short distance runner, just enough for him to be able to be quick enough to get away from lions.
And what about their eyesight, Mr. Brian?
Yeah, they have good eyesight. They also have very good sense of smell. So they use those senses quite a bit, not just to alert them of predators, but also part of their social structure within that group. Okay, throw me another question. We're on a roll now.
Oh, there's a lot. So let's take another look at some questions. Are there stripes? How many stripes do they have, and are they symmetrical?
No, they're not symmetrical. And actually, I've never actually counted the number of stripes on a zebra. I would think there's probably 100 stripes on a zebra, but I do know that they're each going to be different. Not all zebras are going to have the same stripe pattern, and not all zebras are going to have the same number of stripes as well. That was a good question. All right, let's do another one.
Well, I would ask you, Mr. Brian, that because there's another question that came through about their diet. So can we talk a little bit about their diet here at Lion Country Safari versus their diet that they would have in the wild? And maybe ours obviously is going to help prolong their life.
Yeah, so animals generally under human care do live longer than they would in the wild. And that's really because we give them a more well-balanced diet. So zebras are herbivores and they are considered grazers. So, which means they eat grass. They typically don't eat vegetables and fruit and leaves. Their diet really is, the vast majority of it is just grass. So here at Lion Country Safari, we supplement grass with bales of high quality hay, which actually is just grass in itself. And we also give them about 1% of their body weight in a pelleted grain, kind of like a kibble. It looks smaller than maybe the pebbles that you would feed your dog, the kibble that you might feed your dog. And we do that just to make sure they get all of their vitamins and nutrients that they need to sustain a healthy life. So and to expand on that, we do what's called, we evaluate all of them. We do a body condition score. So we actually look at each individual zebra, whether it be the keepers, the wildlife managers, and even the veterinarian, and we score their body condition, and then we make adjustments to their diet. If one might struggle with a little too much weight, we might back off that diet. If one looks like it needs a little more food, and then we would adjust that diet as well. So there's a lot that goes into feeding a herd of 60 zebras.
So, Mr. Brian, on the last video, we are talking a little bit about how we identify our zebras. And I wanted to go a little bit more into that because we have so many zebras. Right. So usually you would have them have like an ear tag. Why is that not something that we do?
Okay, so we don't put ear tags in a zebra because zebras groom each other. If you see the zebras out on the plains or out in our exhibit here, you'll see that they kind of use their teeth and they groom each other. They pick flies off. They're constantly grooming. But if you put an ear tag, another zebra is going to groom that ear tag, chew on the ear tag, and actually pull that ear tag out. So zebras won't leave the ear tags in. So we do microchip our zebras. All of our animals are microchipped, so you are able to identify them through a microchip, like you would your pet. Most pets have a microchip in them. But that's kind of hard to do if you're looking at a zebra all the way across a large open space. How do you tell that zebra apart? And so we do it through their stripe pattern. Their stripe pattern is like a fingerprint. It is unique to every single zebra. we take a digital photograph of the right side of their head and neck, and you can pick out different variations in that stripe pattern. We attach an identification number to that photograph. Sometimes we have like a house name, like we might have a zebra named Billy Ray, or might have one named Slash. So they would also have that name attached to that number as well. So the keepers can look at a logbook that has all the photos in it, look at the zebra, pick out which one it is, and that's how we identify them. And we were actually, Lion Country Safari, we were pioneers in using that method to identify zebras. It is now the recommended way for everyone to identify zebras.
Thank you so much. And I also want to go ahead and mention for all of our viewers is that there is a link that we have your very own matching game with photos here from our zebras at Lion Country Safari. So we would like to challenge you all to try to match the stripes to the one particular zebra, because this is what our keepers do every single day. So it is a really fun challenge. And if you do decide to come out to Lion Country Safari, you can go ahead and even print those photos and try to see them for yourself.
Do they have their names with it or just a number?
We have their names with it.
So,
Let's go ahead and we're going to go right over to Miss Chelsea right over here.
So to make it a little bit more challenging, the initial one does not have the names, but the answer key will have the names with the pictures. So if you guys come out and visit Lion Country Safari, you guys can bring the answer key with you guys and see if you can spot those zebras out on safari using the stripe patterns. And you can name them when you spot their stripe patterns.
Fantastic.
Some of them might be Mr. Bryant's favorite.
Thank you so much, Miss Chelsea, for that. So we do have a question that came in from some first graders, and they want to know is how long do zebras sleep?
How long do zebras sleep? Well, you typically don't see them sleeping laying down because they would be very vulnerable to a predator, like a lion might sneak up on them. So they don't sleep like we think of sleeping. They tend to it's more of just a resting period. And so sometimes there is an exception to that. You see a lot of the baby zebras. You see foals, they'll lay down and fall asleep. But adult zebras, they usually just kind of stand there and rest. And when they're doing that, when they kind of have this very distant stare off into the distance, and they kind of just look like they don't even know where they're at. And that's a zebra sleeping. So it's not sleep like we would think of it.
So I'd like to talk a little bit about, because one of the questions that came through is, what other species of zebra are out there?
Well, there's actually 3 types of zebras. So there's grevies. They're a little bit larger. The stripes are a little smaller, a little more fine stripes. They are very endangered, and they tend to live like in kind of in desert, arid climate. There's the mountain zebras, which are typically found more in the mountainous regions of Africa, and those are considered vulnerable. And then there's the plains zebras, which there are quite a few of those. They're not considered endangered, and you find those on the grasslands throughout Africa.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bryan. Now, I'm actually going to go ahead and combine 2 questions because I think this is a great thing that you'll be able to kind of elaborate on. So one of the questions is asking about how do zebras stay safe? And then also another question is how many babies do they have? So we can answer the baby question, but also maybe we should talk about how mom keeps babies safe as well.
Okay, this is great. So they generally only have 1 baby at a time. I've never seen them have more than 1 baby because they are such large babies. So I think they're physically designed to only have 1. Now, those babies are very large and developed because after they're born, in a very short amount of time, they are on their feet and running and keeping up with the herd. That's a defense mechanism. If it took a whole year to learn how to walk and run like it takes people, a zebra would never make it. They would get eaten by predators. So that was the first part of the question. What was that second part of the question? So it was how many babies do they have and how do they stay safe, right?
Correct.
Okay, so how they stay safe. That safety is in numbers. They live in those large herds where everybody's on the lookout all the time. We talked about how they don't really sleep like we do. That's another way that they stay safe, that they're always on guard. And they also have a very elevated flight response. Now, a flight response just means they spook easy. They get scared and they run away at a lot of things. And that's how they stay safe. You know, when there's lions out there trying to eat you, you got to be ready to run.
So speaking, I know we talked a little bit about the animal care here on the safari, and I know we mentioned about the diet and making sure that our zebras are healthy and what we do as keepers to do that. So would you be able to tell us what is the average lifespan of a zebra in a accredited zoo, and then in the wild, and then when do we see in the wild?
So zebras, we'll start with wild zebras. Wild zebra, if it's into its 20s, it is an old zebra. Usually the ones that start to slow down as they age are the ones that get preyed upon by lions. Here under our care, they're not being preyed upon by lions. And so they do tend to get much older. They get into their late 20s or possibly even to their early 30s. Also, we're able to give them medicine. If they have some kind of health issue, maybe an age-related health issue, we're able to manage that. Our veterinarian can go out and have a look at them. Sometimes we might even have to dart them and get them under anesthesia so that we can actually work on them, and the doctor can come in and she can fix them, and then we can wake them back up and put them back with the herd. So there's a lot of ways in which we manage that group of zebras so that they live these long, healthy, wonderful, happy lives.
Mr. Brian, I really like this one question that came in, and I think it's a great way for us to talk, discuss a little bit about the care here again. It says, if we were to release a zebra, one of our zebra into the wild, would they act the same as they would at Lion Country Safari?
It's probably what they know, and so you probably see a lot of similarities in how they would behave. I think our zebras, living in large open space and in a large social group, you see a lot more of those natural behaviors that you would see in the wild. Now, having just 2 or 3 zebras in an exhibit in a smaller space, they're probably going to not have as much of those natural instincts as they would in our type of a facility where they live in these large herds, large open space. There's a lot of things around that might startle them and spook them. Room to run away. If they lived in a small space, that instinct to run away at every time they saw something scary, that might not be as strong as say an animal in the wild or possibly a zebra here. I like that question. That's a good question.
I thought it was a great question. So we are going to take just a couple more questions, and then we're going to start to wrap it up a little bit.
Okay.
But one of the just went ahead and had the question here. Oh, they wanted to know, do our zebras get along with the other animals on the safari?
Oh. That's actually what I do here. So that falls into my job description. Zebras are mean. There are not many animals that I can actually put into the same exhibit as the zebras because the zebras are mean. So I put them with rhinos. We have southern white rhinos, and those things weigh about 4,000 pounds. So they do a pretty good job of making sure zebras don't mess with them. And the other animal are wildebeests. Wildebeests are extremely hardy, durable animals, very, very tough animals, and so they can get along with the zebras. But there's a lot of other antelope that we do have throughout the park that I could not put in with the zebras because zebras are mean. We talked about that before. Zebras are mean.
I know that there was a lot of questions that we were not able to get to, so I am going to have Miss Chelsea put our communal email address at the bottom there if there's any additional questions. I do also want to mention, because I did see this come through, we are accepting field trips again here on Safari, so that is very exciting. And you can find more information about our field trips if you go to our website at lioncountrysafari.com. And the last question, Mr. Brian, because I saw this question pop up a little bit, is do zebras have any weaknesses?
A weakness? That's a tough one. A weakness. Sometimes zebras, just like with any other horse, they can have hoof problems. Sometimes that's just a genetic thing. That's just, they inherited hoof issues from their parents. And sometimes they could even get, like horses, domestic horses do, you can get what's called a stone bruise in a hoof, just from running across the pasture and step on a rock and get a pretty deep bruise. And that can really kind of make a zebra limp. So I would say if there's any Any real weaknesses, I would just say it tends to be with the hooves. So whenever we do have problems with zebras, it's usually like with the hooves or older zebras and the teeth. And I think that's pretty common, even our species, as we age, of having dental problems. You know, as we get older, our teeth do wear out. We've been eating our whole lives, and so we see that with zebras as well. As zebras age, the teeth do get pretty worn.
Thank you so much. So I would like to go ahead and we're going to wrap it up, but I wanted Miss Chelsea to go ahead and also say hi, because Miss Chelsea, you might have seen some of the answers being questioned in the chat box there, and that was actually Miss Chelsea. She was happy to jump in and answer some of your questions.
There are a lot.
But we want to let you know, again, we are open for field trips and also for guest visits as well. You can find more information regarding that on our social media on Facebook, or you can go to our website at lioncountrysafari.com. And if you want, I am more than happy to answer any additional questions through our email address that we provided in the chat box. But other than that, Mr. Brian and Mr. Chelsea, are you ready to say goodbye?
Bye.
Thank you all for joining us here live on Safari. We hope everybody has a great rest of the day.